Hi there guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time. A few weeks ago I had a comment on one of my videos where someone said, why don't you go over some records that are still Grails that you haven't got, and also some that you have managed to get since you started recollecting vinyl. And I thought, that's a good idea for a video, so here we go. Hi guys, welcome. As I said in the intro, today we're going to be looking at records that I set myself a target to buy when I got back into record collecting 5 years ago already, and also some records that maybe were in my collection previously that I sold and now I need to get back. I need to rebuy them and they are being a bit elusive. So today, the first one, or number one on my list. So the first on my list is The Clash, London Calling. This album is in one of my top 5 albums of all time. Maybe 6, maybe it's just outside the top 5, but definitely in the top 10. London Calling by The Clash. Brilliant album, double album. After a first pressing of this, you won't get much change from £150 for a near mint version copy of it. When I had my record collection previously, I never owned this record. It's one of these albums that I never owned, always wanted, but never bought it, and I don't know why. But I've now set myself the task of buying it, and good grief, £150. You know, I keep weighing up, do I like the album enough to part with £150? Maybe, I don't know. I think what I might do is get a reissue, or an 80s repress, because at least an 80s repress will be all analogue. And so should sound okay, and it will be a hell of a lot cheaper than a first pressing. So yeah, that's number one on my list. That's London Calling by The Clash. The next one on my list is a record that I have repossessed, and it was actually, I think this was actually the first record I bought on Discogs 5 years ago, and that is Burning Blue Soul by Matt Johnson, or as it was later marketed, but this is the first pressing with what they call a psychedelic eye cover. Matt Johnson, 1981 and 4 AD. This is a really good record. This was high on my list of wants when I started recollecting vinyl. It was probably one of the first 5 records I bought when I got back into vinyl 5 years ago. I had to buy this from a guy in America. This cost me about £50. That included shipping. I think it was about £35 for the record, £15 to ship it from the States. It's in really good nick. It's got like the flip back cover as it should have. And yeah, cracking album. If you've never heard it, give yourself a break. Do yourself a favour and get Burning Blue Soul by Matt Johnson. I think most of this he done himself on his own, in his own studio. This has got some cracking songs on it. I like the experimental side of this record, and it's not as commercial as his later stuff. So number 3, another record that has escaped me. I had this in my original collection, which I sold. I had a first pressing of this, and that is a factory sample. Fact 2, a factory sample. I had an original pressing of this minus the stickers, but it was an original pressing. It was a double EP pack in a gatefold, and I still regret selling it. I wish I hadn't, but I did. I put it on eBay, sold it for next to nothing, I believe. And now this is going for near mint £190 at time of filming. £190 for a double EP. Yeah, it's a grail. I'll wait until it maybe comes down in price or I see a good deal out there. I will buy it again, but I don't want to pay £190. That's a bit too rich for me. But yeah, a factory sample. Yeah, so Joy Division, the Durutti Column, John Dowie and Cabaret Voltaire. So yeah, yeah, that's one that I will buy again at some point, but I'll wait for it to come down in price. Next, a record that I, again, was on my to find Grails list. This doesn't get any love at all, and I am championing this album. Again, it comes up on some of my lists. This was in the top 5 records that I wanted to get when I started recollecting vinyl, and the reason being is it's a really good record, and that is why Nari calls Pooh the Art of Bluff. This is Pete Wiley when he was at his peak, I think. This was before Story of the Blues. This was when he was still working with the bass player Carl Washington. So it was essentially a duo, if you like. Pete Wiley played all the instruments. Carl played bass and some other instruments. They had like a rotation of drummers, but it was essentially the two of them. This is the debut album, and I play this pretty regularly. Every couple of weeks I'll put this on, or I'll play one side of it and then move on to something else. I always have to listen to this. I love this album. It's really reasonably priced. Original pressings of this you can get for £15-20 in really good condition. There is supposed to be a remaster coming out on the Chrysalis label. I was told that about a year ago and it's still not out, so maybe there's a delay, but as soon as I hear of the release of this, I shall let you know. But this is a really good album. 7 Minutes to Midnight, classic. 7,000 Names of War, brilliant. Death of War, love that track. It closes the album, Death of War, and yeah, absolutely brilliant. Brilliant War. Next, number 5, record that I have still yet to get. Now, in my original collection, let me just have a quick slurp of coffee. In my original collection, I had all the Beatles records, all the singles, I had all the EPs, I had all the albums. I didn't have all the monos. I had all the stereo albums, but I didn't have the monos, because back then, getting all the mono copies of Beatles records was not easy. We didn't have the interweb as we have now, so it was quite difficult to get hold of them. You was reliant on magazines like Record Collector and things like that, and I couldn't be asked. But anyway, I had a full set of the Beatles mono EPs, but they were the reissues. They were the late 70s reissues. They still sounded good. They still had the flip back covers, and they, you know, they sound good. I know Andrew at Parlogram Auctions did a review of the Beatles EPs, and in a lot of cases the cuttings, the songs, the mastering that they use on those EPs is better than what was on the albums or on the singles. I really think, if I can lay my hands on it, where is it, is that it there? No, not in it, where is it, can't find it. I've got the Long Tall Sally EP there was the reissue. But the Beatles mono EPs, depending on what one you want, you can buy them in VG Plus to near mint condition, about £20 a pop. That's not cheap, but when you think that I paid, what did I pay for, I can't bloody find it now. There it is. I paid about that for this, which is the Long Tall Sally EP. That included shipping, but I think I said this in a video previously. I think now is the time for them to maybe reissue the Beatles EP box as per the originals, but all analogue. That'd be really good. I think it's a good time for that. I will possibly start rebuying the EPs again. They are good fun to have. Right, next, another Grail, which was actually in my top 5 records to buy when I started recollecting vinyl. And it had to be there, didn't it? Joy Division Unknown Pleasures. This is a original first pressing, pressed at WEA. It's black vinyl, not trans red. This sounds absolutely brilliant. It is a porcupine cut, and it trounces over all the reissues. I'll say no more. All the remasters you can forget. Get an original first pressing. You won't get much change from about, I mean, I paid around about £90 for this because it's a WEA on VG Plus to near mint vinyl. The cover's about VG to VG Plus because it's not translucent red. I've said before in videos prior, I did a shootout video on this album, and a lot of people think the translucent red pressings are the first pressings. They're incorrect, because the first pressings were pressed at WEA. They were on standard black vinyl. And then they took the stampers to Tranco because WEA didn't have capacity at that time because they had other work to do. So the second lot of pressings, there was the initial pressing run was 15,000, I believe. So the first 10,000, I think, were done at WEA. The final 5,000 were done at Tranco. And it's the Tranco pressings, there's about 5,000 to 6,000 or so of those which are on translucent red vinyl. It weren't the only time they used Tranco. They used Tranco for Closer, and they also used Tranco for, I think they used them for the Atmosphere 12-inch. Could be wrong there though. But yeah, this is first pressing on black vinyl. Sounds really, really good. Like I say, save your money, get a WEA pressing. It's a first pressing. It uses the same stampers as the Tranco translucent red. Save yourself about £100 because the Trancos go for about 200 quid. Right, so yeah, Unknown Pleasures. Right, so another one that's escaped me. Back in 1987, Pink Floyd released Momentary Lapse of Reason. I was first out of the gate being a huge Pink Floyd fan. I raced down to my record store and I bought the first pressing of this record. I then bought it again about 3 months later because they reissued it with a poster wrapped around the gatefold and a guaranteed ticket application to see them at Wembley Stadium or Main Road, Manchester. And I wanted to go and see them. So I bought this record again. I had 2 copies of it, because the first pressings didn't come with the poster or the guaranteed ticket application. So I bought it on vinyl, and it's still a first pressing, but it was a second run of first pressings with the poster. The second run with the poster They now go for around about £180. And I had that, I never played it. I had it in mint condition. It was mint condition because I didn't play it. It was still in the shrink when I sold it, because I played the other first pressing I had. If I wanted to play it, I used to play the other one. I didn't play the one with the poster. I just left it sealed up, and when I sold all my vinyl, that went at a boot sale. Oh, I sold that at a boot sale. I probably let it go for about a tenner. £180 now. I would buy Momentary Lapse of Reason again, but maybe not the one with the poster and the ticket application. I will buy the original mix, the original pressing of it at some point, because I don't have it anymore. Right, next something is another record, or should I say records that I did get, which were on my list and I never had first time round, but I wanted, and that is the Beatles, but in mono. So what I've got for you here is a little selection of just 3. Sgt. Pepper. This is the 2014 mono remaster. White Album, 2014 mono remaster. Revolver, 2014 mono remaster. When I started recollecting vinyl 5 years ago, these, I didn't buy the box set. I couldn't afford the box set, although it was still available. But you could buy these separately. And I remember paying £25 for this from a record store in Wickford, Essex. I rang him up from work because I was on his website, and I said, have you still got that Sgt. Pepper? And he said, yes, I've got 1 copy left. You can have it for 25 quid, and this is it. So I bought it, and it sounds fantastic. This is the original 2014 remaster, mono remaster of the White Album. This is in impeccable condition. I think I paid, I don't know, 35 quid for that off Discogs. Revolver, the majority of them I got from Discogs. And the mono collection, I've got them all now. I've got them all. And I've now, as you know, if you've been watching my videos, you know that I've started collecting pressings of Beatles stereo albums that are not first pressings, but they use the original first pressing stampers. So that's interesting and good fun to do, although that's turning out to be a little bit on the expensive side, because some of these reissues that use the original stampers are not cheap. Some of them are quite expensive, which leads us on to the last album that is on my bucket list of items to buy, which I still haven't got, and I never had this first time round, but it's a Grail item that's escaping me, and that's the Beatles Magical Mystery Tour German Hurtzu stereo pressing. VG Plus, £90, near mint, £200 at time of filming. It's expensive, it's not cheap. That's for good reason. I blame Andrew at Parlogram, because he done a video about this pressing and sang its praises and said it's true stereo all the way through. No fault, no fake stereo, no nothing like that. This is true stereo, and it sounds really, really good and dynamic. People are wise to it now, and that's whacked the price up, and people are now buying it and at a higher price point. So yeah, I may buy a cheaper VG Plus version of it, but if I want near mint, I've got to pay around about 200 quid. Not cheap. And then we come to the last record, which was on my list, and this is a band that a lot of people know from one single that they did called I Melt With You. Not a favourite of mine, but I absolutely love this album. This is Modern English's debut album, Mesh and Lace. I bought this, and at the time when I bought this, I didn't know what I was buying because I was still a little bit green to audiophile record collecting. But I saw this on eBay, Amazon of all places, and I thought I want to buy this record, and it's just been reissued, and it's on a limited edition of, I don't know how many it was now, 1,000, or it could be 500 actually. 500, I think the numbering on the back of the album cover is 500. 500 green vinyl, right? But the important thing about this was pressed at QR. This was mastered by Kevin Gray. This was from the digital file, but this is mastered by Kevin Gray and pressed at QRP. This sounds absolutely fantastic, and it probably sounds better than the original. I do want to get an original pressing of this and do an A/B test. I'll do a review of it and a comparison video. If you've not heard this, this is like Joy Division on steroids. It's very dark. It's not poppy. They went commercial later in their career. Very shortly after this, actually, you know, I think the following album to this was Ricochet Days, and it was a totally different feel to this album. And then you had After the Snow, which had I Melt With You on it, and that was it. But this was their first foray into the indie new wave. This was originally on the 4AD label. There's elements of Bauhaus in this, there's elements of Joy Division, there's elements of Cabaret Voltaire, there's elements of a lot of good indie influences. And yeah, really good band live as well. This was high on my list, and I'm glad I got this version of it. Like I say, Kevin Gray mastered it, cut at QRP, what's more to say? And that is it for today. Some of those Grails, they've escaped me. I may buy them at some point when I'm feeling a little bit more flush with cash. But at the moment, I can't warrant paying the money. A lot of them are quite expensive. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. I've got a few other videos coming up over the next few weeks which are going to be of interest. And with that aside, I shall see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye-bye now.